it going, guys? Welcome back to the Team Turner YouTube channel. Today I'm going to bring you along on a photo shoot with a 55 Chevy. I've been doing photos of cars for the last 7 years or so, and I've been using the camera for around 12. I've been published in a handful of magazines and have seen a bunch of cool cars and met a lot of cool people, so I thought it'd be really cool to share that with you and kind of give you some insight into what I do and why I do it. Give you a rundown of my gear, what I use, what I prefer, and kind of just show you what I like to do in my spare time. So we're getting close to winter. It's first week of November right now, so temperatures are pretty cold. It was low 40s today when I woke up. So client today wants rollers and still photos, so as a result I'm going to be hanging out of a car and it's going to be extremely cold. So over the years I've kind of just found that the best thing to use is a ski mask. It's really stupid and it makes me look like a criminal, but black ski mask works great. You can use a shiesty too. Just something to keep your ears, protected from the wind, because if you think it's cold outside the car, it's really cold outside the car when it's moving like 55-60 mile an hour. I also have a pair of mechanics gloves. They don't do the best at keeping my hands warm, but it still allows me to use my hands, touch stuff on the screen, move my fingers around easy, which is really important as I'm going to need to change settings and focus on the fly hanging out of the car. So it's important to make sure I don't hurt myself or lose my feeling in my hands when I'm doing this, but it's also important that I still be able to use my camera. Another thing I wanted to do is give you a rundown of the gear I use. I've been shooting strictly with Canon for the last 10 years or so. I've used a handful of Sony cameras, Nikon cameras, Fuji. I always go back to Canon because I really like the user interface. It's extremely user friendly, and I've got a gyrating screen. I have the ability to take vertical photos down below my waistline hanging out of a car. So for me, that was the selling point. Touchscreen is great. Really makes my life easy. So Canon EOS R6, this is my go-to. I did use a Canon EOS R before, but after using this, didn't feel like I needed to have both. So this is kind of my go-to. Got my battery grip so that I can hold on to this easier vertically outside of the car. Also have my RF to EF adapter. My go-to lens is a Sigma 50mm 1.4 art. I really like the colors that come off this lens, and I found that the 50mm is a good focal length that allows me to get some really good bokeh and depth behind my subject, but also doesn't make it really inconvenient to shoot in tighter spaces. If I do end up having to shoot in a tighter space, I have a 35mm 1.8. This is a Canon RF lens. It's honestly a pretty inexpensive lens, but for the price, it's extremely good. Really easy to use in close quarters, weighs nothing. I really like the colors that come off this lens as well. I just don't typically use it as often because it's a 1.8. I really like being able to shoot below 1.8 if I need to. So it just depends on what my spacing looks like and how much space around me I have. When I shoot rollers, I almost exclusively use this Canon 16-35 f4 with image stabilization. The internal body image stabilization on the R6 mixed with the lens image stabilization on the 16-35 here, plus it being a wide angle lens makes it really easy to get sharp photos. And in addition, the wide angle makes the motion look really fast if I'm shooting at a low shutter speed. So this lens is just great for what I do. Having the zoom kind of makes my life easier if the car starts moving away from me and I need to get the shot. So this is my go-to for rollers. I probably won't use it for much else. Sometimes it's kind of cool to get a side profile with a really wide angle, but other than that, this is really just for rollers. For filters, on my 35, I use an old school Koken 52mm polarizer. I really like this old one because I found that a lot of these really small diameter filters don't really do that well with the polarization effect. They're really over intensified in one area, and then you rotate it and then it's completely worthless in another area. So this Koken one, very even. I like it a lot. It's just old, doesn't spin very well. It's probably 20 years old. Other than that, on my other lenses, I pretty much exclusively use Moment CPL filters. I found that the color that comes off those, as well with Like the glare reduction and the polarization effect is great and works a lot better than cheaper ones I've used in the past. So highly recommend that. Makes a very big difference, especially with rolling photos, because I can't raise my shutter speed too high. And so if it's bright out, using those filters has really helped me keep the sky in a smooth blue color, but also keep my subject not too dark or too bright. So it really makes my life easy, keeping all my lighting and my color even. So I have a handful of lenses at home, but these 3 are going to be what I need for my shoot today. I know the location I'm shooting at. It's near a lake. There's lots of open space behind me, so I should have plenty of space to use my 50. I will probably switch to the 35 for close-up detail shots, like wheels, badges, things where I need to get really close, because the focal distance on this allows me to get super close. Another thing, I use Peak Design wrist strap. It's a quick connect. It's really easy to use. I found that that's kind of the best way to keep my camera safe, but also prevents me from hanging out of a car, having a camera strap smack around, hit me in the head. It's really annoying. This has kind of solved that for me. I do have a normal strap that I use as well, a neck strap, but I won't use it when I'm hanging out of the car, and usually don't use it when I'm shooting either, unless I've got both cameras and need to have one affixed to my hip, easy to bring up, etc. So that's pretty much the general rundown of my gear. I've got like a phone mount for my hot shoe so I can talk while I do my shooting, and then a bunch of batteries and some neutral density filters, UV filters, just some generic stuff like that. So other than that, that's pretty much the rundown of my what I would say daily driver camera gear. I have a little more extreme stuff at home that I use for shooting like motorsports or action photography, but this is all my go-to. So I'm gonna head to that photo shoot and we'll give you a rundown once we get there. Real quick before I get out of here, I wanted to show you guys what I use for rolling photos. This is my 2007 Toyota Corolla. It's about as base model as it gets, has manual windows, really no options at all. I've had this car for about 6 years and I've used it on countless photo shoots. Works great. Suspension is really soft, so it helps me keep my camera smooth. Doesn't really jostle me around like my other cars do with the stiffer suspension. There's some black plastic trim on the bottom of the passenger door. Works as a great lip to rest my camera on. So in general, helps me keep the camera still while also being able to shoot at a really low shutter speed, because we want the motion blur, but I don't want to make the car that I'm shooting blurry. So this thing works great for what I do, and let's get going. So currently on my way to Warsaw. I have about an hour drive in front of me. We're going to go to an area called Winona Lake. So there's lots of nice areas that are really close to the water. You can usually pull a car within a few feet of the water. The lake in the background, lots of nice houses. I'm thinking I'm going to take him to this place called the Boathouse Restaurant. Usually I try to avoid shooting on high traffic times, but it's Friday evening. There's a good chance that the boathouse is probably going to be really busy. So worst case, there's a couple of streets. One is a canal. The other one is a little loop that's kind of on the end of an island that will allow me to pull the car close to the water. It has some cool architecture. So we're going to do that. Second spot, we're going to go up the hill at Winona Lake to Grace College. There's lots of old architecture there. Lots of really cool brick buildings and things that'll make for a neat backdrop. And then third, I'm going to go to a boat launch at a different lake, and that one should allow us to get really close to the water. Nothing that's going to be unsafe or anything, but it'll at least give us a chance to get some really wide open shots with lots of water, lots of foliage in the background. Usually I'm well prepared for this kind of stuff. I don't know that I've even seen a picture of the car yet. I know it's a 55 Chevy. I'm pretty sure it's either black or dark red. I know it's a dark color. It's pretty, honestly, kind of gloomy outside, but I don't really mind that. I know a lot of car photographers would rather shoot when it's really sunny out, but I almost prefer it kind of being overcast and a little darker. It makes my life easier trying to balance everything out. I don't have to worry about having everything be overexposed. So just personal preference. I think we're catching the leaves right before they're all about to fall off, so we still have some color in the trees. There's still some areas I think that we'll be able to have some really nice, like, colorful photos. And then after all those photos are done, 3 spots of still photos, we'll get on the highway, do some rollers, and I think sunset's around 6:30, so we'll be about an hour ahead of that. So good chance that we'll get a good sunset while we do rollers. So it should all work out pretty good. So I'm about 5 minutes from where we're going to be meeting Jason, the guy who we're going to be shooting with. Between traffic and just construction and all this crazy stuff going on up here, I feel like shooting rollers is probably going to be pretty interesting. I'm hoping that maybe we'll be able to find a gap somewhere where there's, like, you know, we can kind of time it so we avoid a lot of the traffic, but I'm surprised at how busy it is. I don't remember it usually being this busy on Fridays, but it is what it is. We'll make it work. I've also noticed that it's really windy out. It seems like the wind's blowing to the east, so I'm pretty sure that that's going to make things really cold. It's 55 out right now, so it's not as bad as it could be, but it's definitely not as warm as it could be either. So we'll see how it goes, and with any luck, everything goes smoothly. But I do think that rollers are probably going to be difficult to time well. Very cool. So you said this is a 55?
Yep, 55 hardtop.
And then what motor's in it?
383 stroker.
383 stroker. Yeah, this thing is awesome. Looks brand new. So the game plan is we're going to head over that way. There's a really cool spot over there that's right by the water. I think that this will go really good there. It's got a 4-speed. It's a Hearst, isn't it?
Yeah.
Digital dash. That's very, very cool. Just let this roll while I shoot photos. It should be fine. I'll probably get some front quarter shots here, and then I think we'll move up the hill towards Grace College after that. That'll make for get some, like, buildings and stuff in the background. So I think most of what we're going to be shooting now is water. So I don't mind that it's gloomy out. I think it actually looks pretty good with that color.
I feel like I've seen a lot of pictures you've taken with overcast, and I don't know how you edit or what you're doing with the colors, but it works.
I appreciate that. Yeah, usually this works pretty good because I don't have to worry about, like, especially with something that's got chrome on it.
Right.
A lot of the time the chrome ends up getting blown out and it's kind of hard to see. So I almost prefer this, but
yeah, a lot of the gloomy overcast photos you do just look awesome. I was actually showing a guy from work your Instagram page.
yeah.
He's building an 86 S10 right now.
Okay. I like this hood ornament too. It's pretty neat.
If he could Photoshop all the bugs off.
Oh no, you're good. All right, get some landscape photos now. Yeah, I like shooting on this little island because I'm pretty sure some of these houses are like Airbnbs or something, so there's hardly ever people here.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
So
I never thought of that.
I've never seen the same person in one of these houses more than once. So
I never thought of that. That's, yeah, you're probably right.
all right, I'm gonna get some of the back half.
Nothing else, if they can afford a waterfront house on Winona, they got a second house somewhere.
Yeah, I know, that's kind of my thought. They're probably not even here this time of year. Lots of chrome on this thing. a little closer and get some of the badges. Yeah, this looks really neat with the water in the background. Get up high, show the lake. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is I know it's going to be really windy when we do rollers.
Yeah.
So I brought a ski mask. It's kind of my only thing I found that really helps me block the wind enough that it doesn't hurt. So.
Yeah, do you have like a harness that you put on to hang outside the car?
Yeah.
You guys do that.
No, so a lot of the time I've seen people do that with like when they're in the trunk. I kind of just brace myself with the seat so that I don't have any reason to fall out.
Right.
But I also don't get as low as some of those guys. Mostly just let my arms do
I
the.
see 'em hanging it off the pavement.
Yeah, I used to do that. I had an older camera at one point that looked like somebody took a belt sander to it because I dropped it on the ground when we were hanging out of a car. But I found that I don't necessarily need to do that anymore. It's usually overkill unless I want to like touch the ground. Lots of cool little trim pieces. Get a wheel shot. All right. I think that's probably good. All right, next spot puts us in some trees, a nice brick building in the background. Give us some good color contrast with the car. I'm still using my 50mm 1.4. I have enough space to get between me and the subject now, so let's make my life a little easier. Since I've got the phone mounted to the top of the camera, I'm doing all my landscape photos, and then I'm going to rotate it and do all my portrait photos. I try to get a good mix of both because they give you a good balance of something to post on like social media, but also if you want to have a desktop screensaver or something, you have both formats. This color looks pretty cool in the with it being overcast. I didn't know if it was going to show up very well, but it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it pops in the sun.
Is it a metallic?
Tri-coat.
Gotcha.
15 layers.
Really? Wow.
4 coats of base, 6 coats of pearl, 5 coats of clear.
That's actually pretty cool. I didn't realize. It's kind of hard to tell with it being overcast.
Yeah,
but
it's a Nissan color, but it's a pearl.
Is it what they paint like the Rogue or the Murano? The Nissan Murano or whatever it is?
I don't know. I'm not sure where they use it.
I know I used to work at Napa in high school, and I remember mixing a red for somebody that I think I wrote down what the paint code was because I was like, this is neat.
Yeah, this was dark tint red.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, this looks really good with the leaves. I hate how quickly all the trees go from like being colorful to not having any leaves on it. It's really irritating.
It was all this week, too.
I know. I shot some photos on Saturday last week, and it worked out great. And then it was like, I was really upset it wasn't nice the day after because it was perfect.
So perfect.
All right. This looks pretty neat with that building in the background too.
So this is still a pretty cool shot here, though. And we still got some reds in the trees.
Yep. Yep. That'll work pretty good. got a car that's probably going to be in my way a little bit, but I'm going to try to angle this so that on my camera I don't see the car in the background. I'll save myself a lot of time having to edit it out. Polarizer is also helping me out an awful lot right now as well, because there's a lot of cloud reflections in the window and on the white paint that this is going to help me get rid of. Alright, that's 2 spots down. Third spot we're going to head to is more or less like a boat launch. I'm not really, with that car being a manual and being old, not really something I want to get, in a position where it could roll into the water, but I think we're going to try to get him close. I think it'd be pretty cool to get that with, nothing but water in the background. I know that you can see trees pretty well from here, so I feel like it'll work out pretty good. We'll see how it goes. We're at Pike Lake now. This is the main public access site, but this is probably about our best chance to get up close and personal with the water. Still have some trees in the background. Interesting landscape, so I think this will work out pretty good. Still get to see some of the fall colors, get the water in the background. It's a really nice area. Usually this part of this launch is really busy, but since we're in fall, I get it all to ourselves. It should be pretty nice, pretty easy to shoot. Oh yeah, this will work out good. I think still having some of the trees with some color in the background will work out pretty good. Get up high. And I'm shooting a pretty low aperture for this. I'm shooting at f1.6. I understand that that's probably a little extreme considering how much space there is between everything behind us, but I really want these to be as soft as possible and keep the car sharp, so that kind of gives me a balance. I do have that pole behind me. I'll probably get up on here. I don't know what this is, but the dock for out there or something. Yeah, that'll allow me to get that pole out of the background. It's a pretty neat spot.
Yeah, I used to fish back here a couple times a year.
Gotcha. I'm always weary to try out new spots or at least ones that I can't see very well on Google Maps, because I can only see this one from back there. So I'm glad that we could get this close to the water. I'm gonna hurry up and do my thing, because I think somebody's gonna launch a boat. So I guess we're just going to work while they launch that boat. I wasn't expecting to see anybody out here being this cold. It's pretty cold for that. Get my vertical shots now. Still using my 50mm. Probably won't use anything else for this until we get to rollers. Then I'm going to switch to my wide angle. I have the feeling it's probably going to be a fight to get good rolling photos because being a Friday night, it's extremely busy right now. So we'll see how things go and take it as we go. As for now, I'm just wrapping up the portrait shots, then we're going to move on. I'm going to get a couple of interior details, and then we will get out of here. Manually focus here because I'm shooting through the window. I want to get the text on the steering wheel in focus. Okay. He's got an old school Chevrolet hat in the back seat. I also want to get that. I'm going to scooch to the left and get myself out of focus. So I'm not in the shot. And then I'm going to manually focus on the logo. Yeah, that'll make for a cool photo as well. Alright. Let's go shoot some rollers. So the original game plan was that we were going to meet one of his buddies at a gas station nearby and have him, I don't know if he was going to drive my car or if he was going to drive the Chevy while Jason drove mine. Not sure. Needless to say, we only have 2 people right now. We need an extra to drive for rollers. His buddy's not answering his phone, so we'll see how things go. We're going to go to the gas station that we were supposed to meet at in 10 minutes anyway, and maybe we'll get lucky and he'll be there. If not, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to still find a way to get him some photos. I might shoot a few rollers out of the car while I drive beside him. Not really an ideal situation, but with any luck, his buddy shows up. We'll get some rollers, and we'll get some footage behind the scenes of that. It should be pretty cool. So, just an update. His buddy is on his way, so we will have a driver and we'll get some proper rollers. So, it should make for some good shots. I think we're going to catch the beginning of a sunset. Maybe. We'll see how the weather holds out and how the sun looks. It might be too dark, too much cloud coverage to get a good sunset, but I think we'll be okay either way. Even if we don't get some color in the sky, I think the trees will look good. And we'll be able to get some good photos out of this. They're not exactly thrilled, so.
So you want me to get in the right lane?
Yeah, we'll get up to speed and then you'll end up in the left lane.
Okay.
And we got a car back there, so I guess let's go. We'll try it, give it a shot. We'll go 55 and see how we do. And the film we're gonna end up dealing with traffic, but go ahead and hop in the left lane. I got a few. That's crazy. Weren't nearly that many cars when we first did it. But for what it's worth, that's enough for at least that way if we have to end with that.